Call the meeting to order at 6 o'clock. Steve, can you call the roll?
Mr. Fischel,
Here.
Mr. Keeney,
Here.
Miss Brewster,
Here.
Miss Grossi,
Here.
Miss Kroniski.
Here.
Okay, can we please stand for the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome. On behalf of the board, I would like to welcome all students, staff, parents, and interested community members to tonight's Board of Education meeting. I would like to remind everyone that this is a meeting of the Board of Education held in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. There is time for public comment during the meeting in the public participation section of the agenda. Approval of minutes. Make a motion to approve minutes from the July 24, 2025 regular meeting. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Fischel,
Aye.
Mr. Keeney,
Aye.
Miss Brewster,
Aye.
Miss Grassi,
Aye.
Miss Kroniski.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Approval of minutes, July 10th, 2025. Make a motion to approve the corrected minutes from the July 10th, 2025 special meeting. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Fischel,
Aye.
Mr. Keeney,
Aye.
Miss Brewster,
Aye.
Miss Grassi,
Aye.
Miss Kroniski.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Special reports.
Okay, thank you. I have two tonight. The first, August is usually the time when Mr. Arlesic gets to come up and brag about how great his custodial staff maintenance team and the teacher helpers are. Had to pivot on that one because he had some family business he had to take care of, so he'll be presenting in September. And so we switched to talk about the upcoming RISE strategic guidance framework. Mr. Hall is here to kind of talk through it with myself as well as to where we're pivoting with our guidance department. So this came out of one of our goals and out of our strategic plan to look at what this is. So the RISE strategic guidance framework has the vision that every student graduates with a clear plan for their future, supported by strong counselor relationships, academic guidance, and support from grades 8 through 12. So the focus right now is at the campus. As we develop this and grow this out in year 3, we do want to deepen that all the way through 6 through 12, where we have guidance counselors at Lamouth and the Riverside campus. So it's a 3-year plan, a 3-year foundation. Year 1, we really want to build that foundation. Year 2, we're looking at deepening the integration overall. And year 3, you're doing excellence a lot, so we sustain that excellence and measure the impact. The purpose, obviously, is to deliver a consistent, high-quality student experience, and we're going to use data to drive the improvement process throughout. This is something we're really working towards. Met with counselors to kind of say, hey, how can we help? What's going on? Taking care of some low-hanging fruit in year 1, making some changes along the way as well. But year 1 is really focusing on those relationships. We want to build those trusted, consistent connections between our counselors and our students. We want our counselors to be the champion for our students in their caseload. What we're doing is looking at a cohort-based counselor model. Currently, we have one counselor who specifically sits for grades 8, and then the other 4 work with grades 9 through 12. Starting this year, the 8th grade counselor is going to rise up and follow that cohort, and the 12th grade counselor will go back to 8th grade next year and focus through. So it's a true model. They'll meet their counselor at the beginning of their 8th grade year. Tonight, actually, there's 8th grade orientation going on. So our family business being run by our 8th grade counselor will help with that. We also want to work to increase our counselor visibility. We hear a lot of feedback that our counselors need to be at more places, drop in some newsletters, actually just pumping out some updates along with Mr. Hall's weekly campus communication, having a counselor corner in there, having some regular kind of touch points for this visibility and this accessibility. And then we want to launch some centralized communication tools. So they're going to work with Mr. Carabine to push out information from the counselors about upcoming events. We do it through the high school page as well, but trying to use some of our other platforms as well, including social media to reach our students. You'll know that Riverside's on Instagram now. We have our own Instagram account, so I started as well, so we're playing with Instagram. I am lost. I'm going to have my kids help me with that. But we're really working to try to get more ways to be visible, not only with our parents and students to make sure that they have the information in multiple points. Because anyone can miss an email. You can get 100 and some emails a day, but sometimes when you're on that social media sites, you can find those differently. So what we're looking for in the milestones this year, first of all, I want to finalize our cohorts and roles. The other part of it is our counselors are working with the cohorts of grades, but the past tradition has been when you have the 11th graders, now all of a sudden you're in charge of the 11th grade testing. So you have to learn what that test is, and you're in charge of the next steps. And so we really want to focus our counselors to be good at one thing. So we're going to kind of specialize their roles. So we have a counselor in charge of the Ohio Achievement Test. We have a counselor in charge of the school-wide SAT. We have a counselor in charge of 8th grade orientation to set up the structure because they're good at it, and that's where they have. We have counselors in charge of the master schedule and kind of working with that. So we have some things in place so that we have counselors who are good at it, and then to build some cross-training, we have the support role as well. So we met with the counselors, we identified what you're good at, what you want to learn about, and then kind of had that cross-training set up. So the other one we're looking to really utilize more this year is a program that we purchased called SchoolLinks as a central hub as well. It's a career-based program where it obviously it sends transcripts out to colleges, but it does so much more in terms of a communication tool, an online scheduler, and we did course scheduling last year in it, so we want to work with that. That's that dashboard that we want to work with tracking. So we're going to have that SchoolLinks site linked publicly. We want to get our parents involved in SchoolLinks. We want to get our kids involved, and that's the go-to for counseling. They can even schedule meetings on there and message their counseling. So we want to kind of have that centralized hub for that. Students take career-based inventories, all of that on that as well. And then finally, the last one is we want to carry all these initiatives and all these traits across all of our areas and departments. So we want to embed the portrait of a Riverside Beaver traits into our counseling practice to make sure that our counselors are working to develop our children as well with all those kids. So what are we looking for? Oh, I'm sorry, that's the wrong slide. So what are we looking for? We're looking at these counselor-led meetings as well as gathering feedback so we move this forward. So that's the R, relationships. The I in the RISE framework is integration. How does this work across our systems? This is really that integration of seamlessly conduct guidance services. The first is, it's a simple logistics issue. We can't do it this year, but we're looking to find a centralized counseling space where all 5 of our guidance counselors are located in the same place so they can touch base with one another. We know that people work better when they're working in teams and they can divide the space up. So we're looking at doing some things with the office spaces to make sure that all 5 guidance counselors and the administrative assistant are in the exact same spot of the building. And we have kind of a centralized counseling hub, and there's a John R. counselor, and then there's the 4 at the high. So we need to kind of put them together so they can truly collaborate and work together. Well, I mentioned that SchoolLinks data dashboard for the tracking along the way and making sure we have people on there. And then also the portrait of a beaver. One of the milestones that they really want to improve upon, it was a great opportunity when we started it, but it does need a little refresh, is our academic letter night, our students' letter for academics, but we really want to refresh that and make that a lot better. As well as looking at our career programming options, starting in 8th grade, getting kids on the right path, letting them know what their options are, so when they get to that junior year, or it's the middle of their sophomore year, when they have to decide what path I'm taking, they've dabbled in that, they have some experience, and they kind of know what they want. And that's really a big thing. So what does a career day planning look like? What does it mean to go into HVAC? What does my job look like? What does it mean to go into horticulture? What is my job? What are my career opportunities for that? What does Cisco mean, and what can I do with that? And kind of what does a typical day look like for something like that? If I want to go to college, what does a typical college course look like in the rigor that's assessed with that? So those are a lot of the things that we're working with in our career day and our expanded career programming. That we've started now with the career electives, but then also rolling into more of a 10th grade career day where we get kids in cohorts on a bus to go to different businesses in the county in those high demand jobs, and then steer them into the career electives that are there, as well as a 9th grade career exploration, kind of how I learned day, and even an 8th grade day. So kind of different career events, starting in 6th grade with our career elective class that's at Lamouth, but then all the way up we continue with that. And we even want to roll career programming down to second grade with a touch of truck type events with those careers, and then one in fifth grade as well. So we're really looking to expand that career programming so our students know and that they graduate prepared. S in RISE is support. Obviously, we need the guidance counselors to provide that support. We want to provide that robust academic and social emotional support for every single student. Our students come when they're coming with baggage. We want to make sure that our guidance counselors have the tools to work with that baggage and make sure that they feel safe to learn, and that's the biggest part of it. The ongoing structures to help with that, because everyone comes with a different. We don't know what struggles they're bringing. We want to establish weekly guidance teams meetings. This is a low-hanging fruit. They used to have like a PLC time, which is about 20 minutes, I believe, Mr. Hall, 20 to 30 minutes once a week. They need more time than that. They said that, so we're carving out time in their day where they're going to have an uninterrupted meeting at that point where they sit down and meet as a team. Myself, Mr. Hall, the unit principals will also stop in and take part of those as needed to make sure that they're on the right track and we answer questions that they have and they're not just asking, wondering. We don't want the wonders, we want action in those meetings. Biannual data reviews. So we're looking at things like graduation rate, who's on track for graduation, graduation plan completion, where we're at, event participation, scheduling, software and schoolings, parent and student feedback. We hear it. We want to continue to hear that feedback and kind of hear the positives from that feedback, and then eventually the middle school collaboration meetings. So what's the impact of that? We're service oriented. We are a service business. We want to adjust service as needed. If we're starting to hear more and more students as we meet with them want a certain path, they want automotive and Auburn's full, well then we need to go out and find another route for them. Like we did for welding with the welding lab. If we're seeing a high need for our students who want to do this in a high need career, it's our responsibility to make sure we work with those agencies to make sure we can get those students in the trainings that they need. And then targeted support based on student needs and feedback. Where do we see our student needs are? What are the struggles? What are the struggles our families are having? As a parent of a sophomore, junior, and senior, you're going through and you're navigating a lot of questions. And yes, you can go to a night to answer your questions, but you don't know what you don't know. So part of it really is answering some of those questions ahead of time to make sure, hey, these are the questions you might have. This is what it looks like for college applications. These are what colleges are looking for now. It's a lot different than it was pre-COVID. We have a lot of schools that are test optional. What does test optional mean? What happens when you submit your SAT scores versus not, and why would you want to? So those type of questions, as well as our career fields. What are our students graduating with, and what careers can they go and attend and make a decent living? And also the options like our medical program where they can go work for university hospitals. The university will pay for their secondary school and work with them. And those options that are out there for them to get that training, because it's a high need field. So really kind of steering kids in that direction as well. And then the E in RISE is excellence. And that's something we deliver. I mean, that's our mission, is educating excellence. So everything we do is about that. So delivering a uniform, high quality guidance experience and continuously improve based on results. Every student, regardless of what counselor they have, should get the same experience and the same high quality experience of counseling career-based decisions and what that looks like. So looking at, again, monitoring those dashboards, making sure that we have that kind of equal opportunities across the board. We are required to do some post-secondary outcome studies by the state. It comes back in the report on the report card. Those are very challenging still to get students to fill it out because they're all voluntary. But having those relationships and establishing those relationships early with our counselors who then can send that out and say, please do this for me, it's meaningful. We see to get more feedback, and not just coming from a generic, at Riverside, Riverside staff, or we need this from Riverside. It could be from Mr. Bayless, and I know Mr. Bayless, he helped me get to where I am. Here, Mr. Bayless, I'm going to fill a survey out for you. Please, this is important to me, so I know where you're at. So that's a part of it, is that personal relationship.
Question.
Yeah.
On the launch the multi-grade progress monitoring dashboards, who will be able to see the dashboard?
That's an internal dashboard.
And who sees that?
That would be myself, Mr. Hall, our counselors, curriculum department, those who have schooling's access accounts.
Okay.
So it's an internal where we see it on that website. We can do some summary kind of as we get to progressing on what that looks like. But it gives like percentage of how many students fill out the FAFSA, how many students applied for college, how many students are going to trade schools, so we can see that as well. We do have to report some of that to the state, so the state sees it and puts it in our college and career readiness portion of the report card. But that is all, again, de-identified. So we look at it, we can see it to the student. Obviously, looking at the impact report and set goals in the future. So after we get this plan, we want to look at what are the next steps and continuing to evolve. And then we want to celebrate successes. As we move forward and as we change, how do we celebrate those successes moving along? We're going to talk a lot this year about, celebrate the little wins along the way, because it's really important to not just to try to get there. Chasing excellence is hard. You got to celebrate those little wins as you get to them. So we're really kind of working for that and making sure we notify that. So what do we look like? So we're looking at onboarding protocols for new counselors. Some of our counselors are getting close to retirement, and they are hard to replace. So we want to make sure we have a plan set in, so when we have a new counselor come on board, it's turnkey and they're ready to go. So what does that look like? And not just kind of drinking from a fire hose, even though they will still feel like that, but to give them the mentor, to give them some of those strategies and plans ahead of time, and kind of a checklist and say, this is what you're in charge of, this is how you're moving forward. Sharing this unified student experience checklist. And what do we expect from everybody? What does every counselor do? Where are their meetings? When are their graduation meetings happen? And how do they communicate with families? What are the methods that they use? What do they send out in the fall? What do they send out in the spring? And along the way, kind of at the end of the month. And then host a guidance appreciation and community impact event. And what that means, that's still to be determined. But how do we kind of celebrate all the work that they're doing and our great counselors that they do as part of it? And I think that's the last part of it once we get through this. So.
Is there any collaboration with Signature since they have?
So our guidance counselors do work a little bit with Signature. They make the referrals. Once they make the referrals to Signature Health is its own person. They then work with the students from that part. So that's a different kind of aspect. But they identify the students who need it, and then the parents and contact the parent with the signature, because the parents have to sign off on the services.
Okay.
From Signature Health. The only exception for that would be like a threat assessment where the student is having some self-harm. Signature comes in, they're part of our threat assessment team, so they will be part of it. But then the follow-up signature has to have the parent signature to come fill out and follow up with that.
Okay. And do we ever get any interns, like practicum teachers, like in the way of counselors?
So we have some at times. It's a
Okay.
very different, most of our interns are sometimes teaching as well, so that internship is a challenge.
Right.
The only internship right now currently in education that is paid is the school psychologist intern.
Yeah.
That came from one governor at one time. His wife was a school psychologist and somehow got it into a budget bill, and it hasn't come out yet.
Yeah.
But the rest of them are all kind of voluntary, so they're
Okay.
still working as a teacher, and it's a master's degree that they're working. So they do it in their plan, but it's not. It's like any other advanced internship. It's very challenging if you're not, because you're teaching first, and
Yeah,
then so
right.
it's challenging to get a true experience until you start in day one, and then it is like drinking from a fire hose, especially in this case. So I think it's something we really took a hard look at how do we repurpose this department, and how do we get them to be experts in some things, but yet be student centered and family centered and give medical support.
Okay, thank you.
There's some things on Infinite Campus today, like the graduation checklist, things like that. Will they still remain there, or
Yes.
will this be transferred over?
So some of that's going to go to School Links. The counselors are going to pick through some of that. I think we're working at we're trying to find our points of truth, and I think that's part of this year is we're looking to see what Infinite Campus can do, and what it does well, and what it does that's easy for everyone to see. We're looking to see what School Links does, what it does well, and what's easy for everyone to kind of communicate, how we can marry both of those. What we know is Infinite Campus will write data to School Links, but School Links does not write data back to Infinite Campus. Infinite Campus is kind of locked down with that. So it makes some of those things challenging to get that information back into it. Even with the schedules are picked on School Links, but then that file is actually hand uploaded at the end. It's a Excel spreadsheet that gets hand uploaded at the very end. So when after that initial upload occurs, any schedule changes that happen, our counselors are scheduling in two places, both Infinite Campus and in School Links to kind of track it. So some of that is not an ideal setting right now. Infinite Campus says they're going to work to get a little bit better. It's on their roadmap, but anyone who's ever done anything with a software company knows that roadmap is really long. So we don't know when it's going to happen.
I've just figured out how to use it. My son's a junior, so.
Yes, it's a good time. We want to get our families in there even earlier, eventually as early as 6th grade, but for sure 8th grade, and get them to that. So. Mr. Hall, do you have anything about that, or didn't we put you on the spot?
We're fine. School Links is a change from Naviance, if you have any familiarity with Naviance. So it does everything that Naviance did before, It's just more user-friendly and has features that are going to help our students and our counselors. We're learning as we go. We had our first development with it last year. It's what we use to do our schedules, set up the master. It worked really well. So it's a work in progress, just like with any type of change with technology.
I think one of the big things we're looking for School Links to work with is local scholarships. We hear a lot about local scholarships and the lack of excitement for some of our local scholarships to go through the scholarship process, because a lot of times our students are doing a lot of work for perceived not necessarily a lot of return on that scholarship. So School Links will help identify students in the scholarships they have. It not only does local, but it will do national as well. We will try to upload our local scholarships, and we're going to work with our scholarship providers to try to get a common app almost, and then check on the scholarships they want. So that's part of the work that's coming out of this plan as well. That's going to probably be a couple of years in advance, because it is you have to get all the donors together as well to kind of say, these are the applications that we want, this is kind of what we're going to feed to you. And you may get an essay, you may not. This is what this is printed out in your scholarship form, so you can have that. But I think it's a key to kind of increase that participation to really help us with that.
Now, I know that the Lake County Retired Teachers offers a scholarship, and every year they're hoping to get somebody from
Yes.
Riverside, and nobody applies. You have to be majoring in education, so maybe there's no one majoring in education, but I guess if we do have the information, who do we forward it to?
So it goes to Mr. Bayless. Scott Bayless is our guidance department chair. He will make sure that it's up there. A lot of with those scholarships that are out there, we do have students who want to go into education.
Yeah.
Sometimes they go in a little bit later, or they decide a little later. The other part of it is they're up there and they're a Google form, but it's another Google form along with all of the other ones that are there, and it's a separate. And there are a lot of them there, and some of our students are there's fatigue by the end of the time, and that's a part of it is they have to print their name, keep all the little things that they should be able to auto-generate. Those are some of the things we're really trying to help with our kids who are truly digital natives, and then we're putting some other types of bringing them back to the days of filling out applications by hand. Not that this one's a hand application, but they have scholarships that are Google Forms. They have scholarships that are PDFs, fillable PDFs. They have ones that are print and fill out. They have ones that are Word documents. So they're all in different. Not only are different formats and different questions, but they're actually different platforms as well. So sometimes that's a challenge to them. So getting kind of all one system in one place is really one of our goals.
All right. Thank you.
Is that it?
That is it. The second report I have today is I did ask Mr. McIntyre to show up tonight to talk about some education, Board of Education member training. So welcome, Dan.
Right, I showed up. So
You did, you showed up.
Thank you for inviting
Yeah.
me. And I hope if you have any questions along the way, you'll jump in and ask. And if something I say here tonight doesn't make sense, I hope you'll ask me to explain it further. So we're going to cover a fair amount of ground in a short period of time. I know many of you are already very familiar with the many restrictions that apply in the context of political activities by board members or those seeking election to the school board. So much of this is governed by Ohio statute, but not all of it. The board policies that you have passed as a school board in large part reflect the law, and then also contain some other restrictions and guidance. So first and foremost, there's a statute in Ohio, it's 3313.78, but basically it says that our premises shall be made available to any certified candidate for public office and any recognized political party or organization for the purpose of conducting public discussions of public questions and issues. That's the law in Ohio. Our facilities need to be made free of charge to that candidate or that political organization. However, it cannot be used for any political fundraising purpose. So if there were a candidate for office and they wanted to host a fundraiser on school property, the answer is no. If they wanted to have a candidate night, or if they wanted to invite people to talk about a certain issue, then that would be permitted under this statute. That's reflected in our board policy 7510. Another statute in Ohio that comes up from time to time in this situation, not as much these days, but years ago when I first started practicing, some county officials, not Lake County, but other county officials, would, in an employee's paycheck, there were paychecks back in the day, would put in a little flyer saying, hey, your elected official boss is running for office and I'm having a fundraiser and I hope you'll come. That is specifically prohibited by Ohio law now. There can be no soliciting of contributions from a public employee while that public employee is performing their official duties or when they're in and around the work area where our business is conducted. So I know that's probably not a relevant issue, but I throw that out just so you have that background.
So, a question, so if you have an employee that is employed, are they allowed to engage in political activity during their work hours?
So the answer is generally no to that, and it's pretty much a hard no. We have a board policy that specifically governs that for our administrators, for our professional staff, our teachers, and for our non-teaching workforce. That said, there are a few gray areas. So, for example, if somebody wore a button or a pin saying, vote so-and-so, is that a political activity? I'm not sure that alone would rise to the level of a political activity. However, maybe a T-shirt covered with vote, vote, vote for somebody, now I think maybe we've crossed the line into engaging in campaigning on school property as a public employee, and that would be a prohibited activity. And these are difficult to enforce because our building leaders have to be on the lookout all the time for that sort of thing. During election season, we see people wearing T-shirts all the time saying, vote somebody or don't vote for somebody. And we need to be vigilant about that and make sure that's not happening.
If you have someone sending messages while they're being paid, and you know that they are doing it, what would the action be to be taken?
Well, first and foremost, a cease and desist. That has to stop. And second of all, probably we need to look into that further to see how extensive it was, and whether it would be grounds for a disciplinary action involving that employee, which could include termination for a really egregious case. The basic principle here is that our resources as a public school district should not be used for a political purpose. That's a very clear principle that's woven into many laws here in Ohio and into our board policies. That's just one common expression of that particular principle. Policy 754002 gets to this exact question. It says, under no circumstances are district-created content, apps, services to be used for various purposes, including political lobbying. And so that would be opposing or supporting a candidate for public office, or opposing or promoting an organization that is in the political arena. So that's one way our board policy gets to that. Policy 9700 also gets to the same question, which says no materials may be used or circulated in the schools or on the grounds of this district which are deemed to be primarily advertising or political materials. So primarily, that's where that pin maybe is going to be okay, but that T-shirt will have crossed the line. So that's very clear in 9700. What if a candidate wants to put up signs on school property? Districts can handle this question as they choose. Now, under our policies, we've chosen that those political activities can't happen and that signs could not be posted. But from time to time, you will see a public entity that allows that to happen. And as long as it's content neutral, candidate neutral, they essentially turn their campus or their property or a portion of it into what's called a public forum, and they have to treat everybody the same. Now, our policies specifically prohibit that, so the answer here would be no, we don't permit that.
Can I have a question on that? So typically the night before, because we do use two schools for voting. Typically the night before, all of a sudden, all the signs, all these political signs are gathered and they line the entrances going into the property. As this, hey, just remember who's on the ballot. Should we remove those? We have not in the past, because I don't know what the line is there, but I think that's and it's only that, and then they may stay after the election for a couple days, because I'm sure everyone's exhausted by then and don't want to pick them up at that point, but I think that's the...
Right. So if we're going to allow that to happen, then, it should be very limited in the space where it would be allowed, and it should be limited in the amount of time, like you say, a day or two before, at a site where there's a polling place. There would be nothing illegal about that. Technically, it's a violation, though, of our current board policy, because our policy doesn't make any exceptions for any of that, even at a polling place. But you're not alone as a school district, because other districts that have their buildings that function as polling places will permit that to happen on election day. One, because it's incredibly difficult to police, because as soon as you take it down, then somebody comes along and puts one sign back up, and then everybody gets upset because that candidate has their sign up and I took mine down, and it gets it's very difficult. But it's an important question, and I think we just need to be careful about how we do it, and that the rule that you have in place applies to all.
Typically in the past, because it's been unevenly enforced, but after school's out the day before election day, people go and put signs up around the polling places and that sort of thing, and you have election day, and typically people will take their signs down and not leave them up for another day or two. But and again, that's not been evenly enforced. It's been a little bit unevenly enforced or not. But I think we might want to have, my suggestion would be, after school's out the day before, people can put up their signs and during election day, but after that they should probably take them with them. And Dan, I'm sure 99% of the school districts, that's what happens.
Certainly a large percentage.
Yeah.
Okay. The next statute that's relevant in Ohio is 9.03. This is the statute that you might recall that the Auditor of State relied upon when the auditor issued the guidance that he did on levy campaign-related conduct. You'll remember it was a multiple draft process where the auditor sort of refined the guidance, but this was the statute that it was based on. And it basically says that school districts are free as political subdivisions of the state of Ohio to spend public dollars on informing their community about their activities. It is specifically addressed in the statute, newsletters, email blasts, so on and so forth. However, the same statute goes on to say that none of those activities, though, should be in support of or opposition to a political issue or a candidate for public office. So just keep that in mind. The statute also goes on to say that no person shall directly or indirectly engage in the transaction of public funds that relates in any way to a benefit for a campaign committee, a political action committee, a legislative campaign fund, a political party, a campaign fund, a political action committee, all of the various forms of political activity. So none of our monies can go to that particular type of activity. And so the next question that comes up from time to time is, what about a booster group that wants to run an ad for a candidate for school board? Typically, school booster groups are independent organizations. They're organized under Ohio nonprofit law. They're on file with the Ohio Secretary of State as a nonprofit corporation. They have bylaws under which they function. They're truly an independent organization. And so let's put aside the parent groups that are not independent organizations for a minute, because that's a different question. But those that are truly independent organizations, the Ohio School Boards Association has issued guidance that basically the booster organization is in charge of itself as an independent corporation, and they can sell ads or political ads or not sell political ads. It's entirely up to that organization. However, if that flyer, that program or whatever that booster organization is publishing that contains the political ads is going to be distributed on school property, then we have the right to take a look at whether we would permit that flyer, that program to be distributed depending, based on its content. Our board policies, as I mentioned already, specifically say that we don't allow campaigning on school property. So is that campaigning? Is it not? Has it crossed the line? There are a lot of questions embedded in that. Have we allowed it in the past? Are we currently allowing it? Does this organization follow a sort of a nonpartisan approach to selling ads, or do they only sell ads to one party or the other, or one candidate or group of candidates and not the other candidates? Those are all the things that we would have to look at when making a decision as to whether to allow that independent booster organization to distribute their materials. But if they were distributing their materials independently of the school district, not on school property, perhaps electronically, perhaps at a fundraiser off school property, then really we don't have much jurisdiction over that particular activity. Now, as I mentioned, we put aside the parent booster groups that are not official independent organizations. So for those groups, they're very likely an extension of the school district, functioning with lots of support from the school district. And under those circumstances, I would not recommend allowing informal parent group to do that sort of thing, depending on how intertwined they are with our organization. But you can go on the Secretary of State's website and you can look up any of your booster groups to see if they are in fact registered nonprofit corporations in the state of Ohio. I do it all the time. I did it earlier today, and you can verify whether they're in fact an independent organization in good standing. In other words, their certificate of recognition from the Secretary of State is still in existence.
So there's one small little carryover. Sometimes you'll have an independent organization. Most of the time they'll have their own checking account. Once in a while, they'll put their monies into the school district's fund.
People like Steve and many other fiscal and school leaders would be very concerned about that. We, from a legal standpoint, I think that's a hard no. That kind of intermingling of funds. Now, if they're going to raise monies like a parent group and turn those funds over to the school district, essentially donate them, well, then they're your money, the school district's money at that point. There's nothing wrong with that. But if they're going to want to sort of use our checking account, our taxpayer ID, as if it's theirs, that's a no. One of the things that we require under board policy of our school support organization, including parent booster groups, is that they are in fact independent organizations. They are recognized 501c3 charitable or educational entities under the Internal Revenue Code. They have their own government, self-government documents in place. They have their own taxpayer ID. They have their own checking account. They're obligated to make their documents and their books available to us for review, because really they function in service of the school district. And so we oversee them, but they are really there should be no commingling of their funds with school district funds.
So, Deanna, you mentioned local officials, like having banners and different things on school property that might identify their office. Where does that stand? Because that got a little muddy last time, right?
That's why I asked him to show.
Yeah.
I'm not good.
Because I just want to be clear on it, because
I have some
that
questions
still
as
exists.
well.
I know, and we don't want to go there again.
So the idea that a public official wants to purchase a banner, let's say, that is with other banners maybe around the field, that is a question that is a delicate one for sure. If we have a longstanding practice, and if that public official is doing it on a continuing basis, not, for example, only when they're running for office, and if that banner doesn't say vote, retain, any of the calls to action that a campaign type of piece of literature would contain, then I think that it's permissible. That said, we have the right to say no to it. However, I think we do have a practice here where we do allow that sort of thing. Again, if you're doing it on a long-standing basis, you do it continuously, not just during campaign season, and you refrain from any of the campaign-type language or calls to action.
And also in the football program, you see the same thing. There aren't those words, call to action, as you said, but they identify themselves, and some are running.
The Gridiron program, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so we just want to make sure, I guess I'm just asking about consistency, because that came up 2 years ago.
Yeah. So, my understanding of I think it's officially called the RHS Gridiron Club. I believe that's their official name. They are a recognized nonprofit company under Ohio law in good standing. And if they choose to sell advertising like that, then that's ultimately their choice. Now, as long as that advertising meets the same standards that we would apply here in the district, then I think it's fine for them to distribute that on school property. If, however, they start going outside of what we've talked about, and that is identifying a public official, doesn't have the calls to action type of campaign language, and even if it identifies them as a public office holder, I think that that's fine. But ultimately, it's this board's decision as to whether to allow that type of distribution of literature on school property. The board essentially has the right to say, we don't want to allow it at all under any circumstance. Now, that would be a departure from, I think, where we've been, but it is still this board's right to do that.
So, I guess you said something about, at the very beginning, about review or something. We have a right to look at the ad.
We do.
So then,
Not before it's
who is
public,
that, so
yeah.
we understand?
Sure, of course. So I guess I'd like to think it involves me. So typically those requests come in to Dr. Rutino, is my understanding. And then our practice has been that Dr. Rutino shares that with me. And then I offer my, legal guidance. And, we make a record of that communication so that we have it for future conversations if needed.
I don't want to be the keeper of the political decisions. Like, I would like to have someone with some legal background.
Yeah, I get
And
it.
I think
We just
that's
don't
a-
want to repeat.
So some of these ads that are put in this program they could be from candidates who just say, wishing all Beavers good luck this year, or all fall athletes a great season. But it's no different than someone who's a parent who's not a candidate who does the exact same thing. I mean, we have fundraising, and these ads are ways that we raise additional dollars for our program. So Drama does it with their playbills as well. They're out selling squares and to communities or groups, and we say wishing you all good luck. Go break a leg, Johnny, and there's that as well. It's just that's not during campaign season. That happens to be this fall football. And it is football because it's a large gathering of community members that are all in one spot. And I think that's really what some of the questions are. What is permissible and isn't permissible by the policy? And logistically, what can we enforce? I think we have seen before trailers show up with candidates' names on them that park, or cars that are wrapped with candidates' names and recognition. I mean, they're driving their car, but it's a type of vote for sticker. Candidates with T-shirts on, and I don't ever want to ask anyone to remove a shirt during the game. I try to avoid that. But then candidates passing out literature and all that. We've drawn the line there, but the other ones that are typically, short of towing a trailer, well, it's problematic at times, and we could say we don't. We're going to stick to these rules, but that requires good faith effort by all involved, and if not, I'm sure no one really wants to see their car towed at that time as well because of you didn't follow our guidelines.
And there is a parade I'm trying to remember the purpose of the parade.
We have a homecoming parade,
Yeah, the
and we do
homecoming
not
parade.
let we do not
So
let
you
outside
don't
groups
allow
march
that,
in that.
and I
No,
remember
there-
that.
Some of the things that we can control are pretty easy for us
Yeah.
to control. The tailgate that's on school
Tailgate.
grounds, we don't let anyone have. I know there's been some inquiries about booths for that. We've always said no to anyone with that. That's for school or organizations, and we kind of run it with that. I think it's actually just so meet the teams night and the games are typically we get a large gathering of parents, and it's more unstructured than some of the other ones where we have a little bit more control typically.
Well, I certainly agree with you that, setting up a booth at a game or just distributing campaign literature at that game is a hard no. I think that's an easy thing to spot. That said, somebody has to be policing it, and that's very difficult to do because you can't have a whole staff of people sort of roaming around looking for that. But if it's happening, if it's reported to you that it's happening, then those individuals have to stop, be told to stop, and if they choose not to, then involve law enforcement and ask them to be removed for not following school rules. Wearing of a T-shirt to a game, there's nothing you can really do about it. It isn't a true public forum, but it is a public place in the sense that many members of the community are here and gathered, and virtually impossible for us to enforce even if we tried. The giant trailer covered in signs, for me, that's closer to active campaigning, and that for me should be something that the individuals are asked to move that vehicle. That said, if somebody has a bumper sticker or a sign, that's probably not enough. That's probably more akin to the wearing of a T-shirt or a button. Now, if that's happening every day during the workday where it's not a game, where it's just in our parking lot, parked in a really conspicuous location, where, then that's easier for us to govern than at a game where you have a large gathering of members of the community. So many of these things, unfortunately, have to be decided on a case-by-case basis, and if you see something, please call anytime, text, what have you, and I'll do my best to respond as quickly as possible.
Dan, what about a situation where someone's got a bumper sticker that says, vote for Pedro, and it's not Pedro though, it's a staff member, and they just drive it to work and drive home?
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
it's just on their bumper.
It's on their bumper, right.
It's not any different than them wearing a pin in the building then, correct?
I think so, yeah. I mean, you sort of have to try to judge the intent, as it were. So, if that bumper sticker happens to be, 2 feet by 3 feet, and it's on the rear windshield, and they park right near the entryway where everybody comes in and out, which is not a typical place, let's say, for them to park, then you might say, it seems like you've crossed the line. You're not just driving around parking in our lot like you would as a regular, like in your regular course of activity. And so for me, I think you would have some right to get involved in that extreme circumstance. But in that routine circumstance, they just have a regular bumper sticker and they pull in and they park as they normally do. It's like the button for me. It's,
Guess if we see that, we'll send Chris out.
yes.
That's the plan.
Yes, right.
I do appreciate them.
Reference though, don't think that went on. That's one of my favorites.
Those are all the big issues I was hoping to cover. I'm happy to answer any other specific questions you might
You're no
have.
longer running for student council president.
Working on my dance.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you. Thank you. And that concludes my reports.
Thank you for that. And thank you, Dan McIntyre. Discussion of old business. Anyone have old business?
So, I do. I had a chance to follow up with LLB Resources regarding the approximate $4,500 they invoiced us for and the materials that are covered in those invoices. LLB would not provide those materials to us. So I would ask here if anybody has things like the communication plan, the email strategy, any information that's been provided, if they would share that with us. So does anybody have any of that information?
Do you have any?
I do not.
Do you have any?
Then-
It was my understanding that information is given to the treasurer's office. I don't know if you received it yet, but because of payment or invoices or things like that, but I don't know what you received.
To my knowledge, I personally have received nothing.
Okay.
But also remember that we haven't really received an invoice.
Okay.
We've received, I guess it's sort of an invoice, but it's not, we haven't physically made a payment.
Okay.
It's coming from the initial retainer of $9,000.
I see.
So there's been no transaction from the treasurer's office to them other than the initial $9,000 retainer, which was paid
Retained.
previous to me.
Yeah, okay.
That retainer was supposed to cover things that they're preparing, but we haven't seen them, so, but they're deducting it from the retainer and saying that they provided it, but we haven't seen it yet. So,
So we can't say, please provide us some material and withhold payment because technically we've already provided payment. So what recourse do we have in a situation so that we can see the material that has supposedly been created?
So that's to me.
Yeah. Dan?
Thanks for being
Wanna
here.
see
Yeah, no,
over here?
happy to be here. So, the work product, the completed work product of any vendor, my office included, is the property of the district, the Board of Education as an entity. And so if you want to review that completed work product, then we should do our best to get you that completed work product and share it with you. You have the right to review that, and I think I've shared that already with all of you. You know, if there are newsletters that are going to go out or that are in the process of being sent out, then, you know, I think that information should be shared with you on a, you know, routine basis. You know, every day, no, probably not, but, you know, every week or 2 weeks or whatever, I think that information can be compiled and shared with the board so you can see it. As far as work in progress, that's a different story. I don't think you have the right to see work in progress. It's not completed. It's not actually something that would could be easily shared. You know, if you wanted to see a half-written email from my office, I'm not sure that I could produce it, or it could make sense, or it would be a useful exercise. So, you know, my advice is that, you know, for example, for newsletters, those newsletters can be compiled into a week's worth or 2 weeks worth of newsletters and shared with the board. That could be done by the board president. It could be done by Dr. Routino, Dr. Thompson, however we want to do it. I think is a fair request.
So for instance, one of the things on May 4th that designed a communication plan, to me that makes me feel like there's a communication plan that's been designed. So it would be nice as a board to see that product of what was designed so that we can have input or provide feedback on it. So I guess I would ask, is Mr. Fischel, Dr. Routino, or Dr. Thompson following up for those materials that have already been completed?
Yeah, I would say you can follow up then.
Would you like us to follow up?
I think,
We'll
Steve, you
do
would
that I
probably
have
do
not
that.
done that personally, but we can certainly do
But
that.
I think it would be fair, from what's being said, that you ask them for any finished product that has gone out. They can compile that instead of the district having to reach out and grab what has been sent out. It's simple enough, right? Because it's a piece that goes out to the community. So if it's line 1 or day 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever it might be, and you do that every 2 weeks, I think that's fair to ask, don't you?
I do.
We can do that.
It's finished product because it's already out.
Well, we can keep that in the Friday package
Yeah.
for next
I mean,
Friday.
the idea of asking them for what they're doing in preparing for something, we're not going to get that.
So can I ask, is anyone on the board currently reviewing or approving public-facing communications before they're sent or published?
No, but I have received some news bits that are very factual. Things that
But my
I've
question
read.
is anybody reviewing them before they're sent? So we're blindly letting things go out without this district having any kind of vision or insight onto them, or what's going out?
So the words are important, so before you said approved, now you're saying reviewing, so.
I said reviewing or approving,
Okay,
it's right
so-
here.
So I do communicate with LLB Resources to make sure that they're not, from what I can see, not sending out information that's not correct. I mean, it's going to happen. And someone points something out like that, it's no different than a newspaper that can be corrected and a follow-up communication. But I will have some communication to make sure that what is planned to go out is accurate.
So are you-
that's
you're
mo-
seeing it?
That's mostly verbal.
And are we getting any kind of reports or engagement metrics or anything that'll tell us that this $9,000 that we're spending is good for the district?
I've not seen that. I would assume that, I know we can, from our internal check on clicks, now there's we've had some discussion as to whether clicks and opens are truly actually open depending on where they're read, but I think our software can do that, so I would assume theirs can as well. But we can ask that too, and we ask for the plan, if they have some,
Right.
if they can give some metrics as to what was sent out, and kind of have metrics behind, you know, where, what the.
Because we had some, Nick, we had some discussion about how many people
From our
supposedly.
server, yeah.
Yeah,
But-
open,
Yeah.
you know, the communications that are
From
sent out.
ours, yeah.
Yeah, and of course, the numbers you get are not perfect, they're not, you know, but
It's a guess.
somewhat reliable within a range, right?
It gives it a number,
Yeah.
whether that number is 100% correct.
That's what I'm saying, it's
It's
probably not
probably give or
100%, yeah.
I
So,
just
I
wanna
think you,
go-
I think you said with ours, they were pretty close to 50% open.
Over 50, which is, that may sound low, but that's actually really high. If you Google like what's a successful open rate on an email campaign, if you reach over 20 to 25%, that's considered successful.
I would like to go on record as saying that I am adamantly opposed to the fact that we haven't seen a communications plan from the company that is putting this plan together, yet we have emails going out to the public on a daily basis that nobody in the administration is reviewing at all. Nobody sees them, they just go out. We don't know until after the fact whether the data was factual or not factual, whether there's misspellings or not misspellings, whether it's unconscionable to me that we're sending out all these emails with the name of our district and on top of it that nobody here has even seen.
That was, my last question was going to be, is how are we going to account for the quality? Because I've seen them go out without headers, I've seen them go out with misspellings, different addresses at the bottom, like multiple things. And I think Mr. McIntyre actually provided some additional guidance that needs to be communicated to LLB on what they can and can't do. And I want to understand who will be following up and providing that guidance. She came right out and said she wouldn't deal with anybody but you, Mr. Fischel. So if you're saying to the administration that they can deal with her, I think you're going to need to tell her to deal with the administration because she was flat out not going to deal with anybody else.
So, I don't know if the administration would be communicating any of that. We've hired a company to do a specific job. And they're under contract to take the general information from what's at the board table and any other information that might be in the district that they would capture, and they're sending that out. So I'm not so sure they're creating their own information. I think they're taking what we have already done and sending that out. So I don't know if there would be, there's certainly not an approval process that would be included in that. I mean, similarly, we wouldn't go to Cleveland Construction and tell them to come into the administration and lay out their plans for laying the block out there before they proceed to get approval. So we're not going to be doing that.
I think that's a risk management thing. Anything that comes out with our district, Riverside Local Schools, and our banner on the top of it should have somebody in our district who has looked at it in the administration before it goes out to the general public. From a risk management perspective, I don't care what it is,
So,
even if it's 2 sentences,
Mr.
doesn't matter.
McIntyre, is there a risk to the district of taking the board table and board email communications and basically copying it or rewording it and sending it out? Is there a risk to the district on that?
I mean, I just look at legal risks. I mean, whatever non-legal you might be thinking about. I mean, there's no legal risk that I can think of. I mean, you know, we don't want inaccurate communications, but I think if it's going to contain a photo of an adult employee, that we should have consent of that individual. I think that makes sense because people are sensitive. They might not like the photo. They might not want a photo of themselves at all. They might want to take a newer photo. Whatever the case may be, I think we want to respect the privacy of our people to a degree that we can. As far as student information, if student information was inadvertently disclosed, there would be legal risk in that for sure. And we've had some conversations internally about how to protect that from happening. And I don't think there was a plan to do that. I'm not suggesting that at all, but we're always concerned about the confidentiality of education records. So, but no, is a sort of a general matter, no.
So our goal is to communicate with the people that live in the district what we're doing. And so the more people we reach, the better it is. And we're moving in that direction.
So the number 7 in the email, Mr. Fischel, I don't know if you've read it, but it says if a website identified or linked in a board communication contains links to independent news articles for visitors to the website to access, I recommend that these linked articles not promote a specific political perspective, but rather represent a variety of viewpoints. If the linked articles represent a variety of viewpoints, then it is newsy and informative. If the linked articles represent a specific viewpoint only, then it may seem like we are promoting or endorsing that viewpoint, and there are arguments on both sides of this issue. This is what I'm talking about, that we need to communicate to LLB to make sure that they are not or no longer linking out to specific websites. So this does need to be communicated.
And who wrote that?
Mr. McIntyre, there's 7 items
So-
here you might want to take
so
a look
Dan-
at.
Dan, so, yeah.
So I guess I would say that, and this is not a small matter, so it's important for you all to know, as I put in that email, that my communications are confidential attorney-client privilege communications. And so as far as disclosing that type of information, it really requires a majority vote of the board to release that privilege. I don't have the right to release that privilege. Nobody else does except for a majority of you. So I guess I would be careful to the maximum extent possible about disclosing, that kind of information.
Yeah, so I would just say as board president, that was confidential information that was just put out to the public. It's attorney-client privileged information, and that should never happen again.
So my biggest concern is that this email list and this email blasting that's being done, we have no idea what it's going to say before it's being said. And some of us will get it, some of us will not get it. I certainly don't get it at home. I'm not exactly sure how I'm getting it at my school district email address, but I don't get it at my home email addresses. And we have no idea what it's going to say. It could say anything, and it could be used and then sent for other purposes because they've got this email list that we purportedly paid for. And now it could also be used for other purposes. I have so many issues with that. I just do. I don't know what else to say about that. I have lots of concerns about that. And it could go out with our logo at the top. It may go out without our logo at the top. It may be used for other purposes. I have no idea what it's being used for. And that really, really frustrates me.
Okay, anything else? Okay, new business.
So I do have new business also. Last month before our board meeting, I sent out some information for the board that reflects on us as a board and how we're impacting not only our staff but our community members. The idea of sending the information to the entire board was for us to have a discussion here. I did not include, just for everybody's reference, other details of the engagement survey to the board specific one, because that's already being addressed by Dr. Rottino in the administration. They're already working on things to work on some of those engagement items. The ones that I did include are specifically related to the board. So I would like to ask if we could have a discussion on what possibly we as a board can do to improve how we are impacting our district and those results that came in that engagement survey.
Well, at this time, haven't had a chance to look at the survey results in detail. Dr. Rottino did provide me with those, and I think he did put them in the packet for everybody to look at, but I'm not prepared at this time to
So
discuss
he did
that.
send those out previously, I think probably a month before, that's how I pulled them. So you haven't looked at them at all?
I looked at that one, but he gave me an updated one by building without any editing, so it's more raw data, and I've just not had a chance to go through it yet.
So again, the comments that I sent are specifically board-related. So Dr. Rattino is addressing already the other comments that the administration can handle. These are specific about us as a board. So those ones were all pulled out and sent. Did you review those?
I read them.
So what can we do as a board?
So do you have suggestions?
I'm asking for you guys to help. As a matter of fact, I think 3 names are typically pointed out in many of the comments. So I'm asking for help and a collaboration on the board.
Well, I suggest you bring ideas to the table that we can discuss.
So you're saying you will not collaborate or provide your own
I'm
ideas?
not saying that at all.
But you're not providing ideas. I'm asking for ideas yourself.
Okay, and I suggest that you bring ideas to the table and we can have an open discussion.
You're not willing to collaborate is what I hear. So thank you very much.
Are we able to have a work session to discuss, or,
Do you want one?
I don't know if we should have
Okay.
one. I
All
did
right,
read
so
the comments.
I have something in new business. I'd like to make a resolution to direct our communications director to email the Board of Education update emails and the emails sent out by LLB Resources to the Riverside Local School District communication emails. Can I get a second on that?
I'm not sure I'm following.
Can I get a second on that?
I'll second.
Nor did we amend the agenda.
You don't have to amend the agenda to make the resolution. So.
Can we elaborate on that, please?
Sure. So we want to reach as many people in our school district as possible.
Excuse me, I'm asking Dr. Thompson to elaborate on whether or not we need to amend the agenda to add a resolution for, I'm not exactly sure what. Thank you.
Robert's Rules of Order would require that the board put a resolution to do an amendment to the agenda. After that, then the resolution could be put to the board for a vote, provided the board votes in favor of amending the resolution, then secondly, move forward with said resolution.
So then I make a resolution to amend the agenda to make a resolution. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
And can you take the roll?
Yes, sir. Mr. Fischel,
Aye.
Mr. Keeney,
Aye.
Ms. Brewster,
Aye.
Ms. Grassi,
Nay.
Ms. Kronensky.
Nay.
Motion carries 3-2.
Okay. I make a resolution to direct our communications director to email the Board of Education update emails and the emails sent out by LLB Resources to the Riverside Local School District communication emails. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. Is there discussion?
Yes, can I ask, what does that mean exactly? You want him to send it to whom?
It's the district emails that we have. And so the emails that we're sending out, trying to reach as many people as we can, will reach more people. There will be some duplications, of course, but it'll reach more people if we send it out from the district's emails.
So you're asking that we now send it from our servers to duplicate what we're sending from the servers, whatever, this external server. We're going to send those every single day to our, I don't even know what to say.
Nick, can people unsubscribe from our emails list? Because I've heard people are unsubscribing from the ones that are being sent on a daily basis. They have the option to.
The problem is if they unsubscribe, they will not get any other communication. So if there's a snow day or an emergency and they unsubscribe, they will not get that message.
Okay.
Can you take the roll, please?
I have one more thing to say
Okay.
before we call the roll. In spirit of collaboration, again, this continued adding things to the agenda at the last minute and amending the agenda just goes beyond what it is that this board is supposed to do to work collaboratively. I have a problem with that. We continue to do this. It's not appropriate. Thank you.
Before you, I will make a comment on subscribing. I suppose for the purpose of board communication emails, we could almost copy the list, and if they want to unsubscribe, they can unsubscribe from just that, and we would keep the normal parent list. If that helps.
You could manage that internally?
Yeah.
Okay. That's fair enough to do.
And will we copy those word for word? So if that person spells an individual's name wrong, it's going to go out with our district, from our district servers, with that individual's name wrong. I want it on record that that's the way I believe they should be sent, so that we can look as ridiculous as some of those emails that are being sent on a daily basis.
So, can you take the roll, please?
Mr. Fischel,
Aye.
Mr. Keeney,
Aye.
Ms. Brewster,
Aye.
Ms. Grassi,
Nay.
Ms. Krenetsky.
Nay.
Motion carries 3-2.
Okay, we have Buildings and Grounds Operations Committee, Superintendent's Business Advisory, which is not yet started up. When will we start that?
We are looking early September. Probably the invitations are going out tomorrow. I'm trying to get it on my list.
The usual suspects?
Usual suspects. Yep, we are going to invite the usual.
Do you think there will be any additional people, companies that might be represented or want to be, or has anyone said anything yet?
We've not had anyone say. We have some companies who we've invited, and they have not been able to make it as of last year, but we will invite them again.
Okay.
See if they can make it this year.
I mean, obviously, we'd like to expand it a little bit if we could.
We can, yes, if we can.
Okay.
That room's pretty full.
Yeah.
Yeah, for example, there's that one new place on Cryle, was it the Creamery or something, but he employs a lot of students.
Mhm.
And I don't know if he's been invited, but,
He is not yet.
okay. But that might be something we
Yeah,
might
that's
want
the
to do.
Creamery and Car Wash, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
but, yeah, he's an orthopedic doctor, and he definitely makes an effort to employ students. Yeah.
Yeah, it might be a good one,
Mhm.
if he wants to and has the time to do it.
Mhm.
Okay, so we had a Buildings and Grounds meeting on Tuesday, and we, at Riverview, had an electrical transformer that failed. A new transformer was installed the same day, and a big thanks to Cleveland Construction, Rage Electric, and Painesville Power for their efforts. It was teamwork, and they got it all done. Without that, it would have taken a lot longer, maybe several days. Okay, so CCI had helped with the primary and secondary disconnect and reconnect, and along with Rage Electric, and then Painesville Power also helped out. The Lamuth gym floor reinstallation is complete, so I guess we had a few issues, and they took care of them.
They completely tore out the floor and put a new one down.
That's a big deal.
Okay.
So, all right, so that's complete. Asphalt patching and seal coating of all the parking lots minus the campus completed by Vasco. Line striping completed at all lots by VBL Striping. And it's all completed and ready for school, and it's looking pretty good. Maintenance installed the new mini split in the board conference room, and that is working well. People can hear each other talk now.
It's nice. They did a great job.
So, yeah, it's good. Summer cleaning is wrapping up. Of course, Ridge's team always does a great job, and again, this year, they've done a great job. Nutrition, potentially funding electrical upgrade for John R. and Riverside High School in anticipation of air conditioning. Mrs. Gifford, who's the head of that department, explained to Dr. Bertino that she offered to spend down the nutrition balance, which I think she was going to be required to do
She's
by law anyway.
required to spend it down. We're looking for ways for her to help with some of that and make her employees more comfortable. And that would be one that would do that. Any type of air conditioning that we would add would require electrical upgrades, and we are seeing if it is permissible by federal guidelines. We hope that it is.
And the air conditioning would be going where?
So we are targeting right now the kitchens of John R. and Riverside, with the ability to expand hopefully to the cafeterias as well. That would be obviously be board funded. But then also we'll move as well to look at what we need to do there. And then the two legacy elementaries that are not air conditioned would be Melridge. Melridge is the cafeteria, or the gymnateria, I guess is what it is. It is air conditioned, but the kitchen is not. And then Buckeye as well. So we would be looking over a couple of years spend down plan to see if we can provide our kitchen staff And those kitchens get really hot.
Oh, yeah, it'd be a
So
very big
It
benefit.
would be a benefit, and if we have the opportunity to expand, that would be beneficial for the district as well. So we're
Right.
looking into those opportunities.
And the cafeteria probably can't use the money for that, but the board is looking at
We
air
can't-
conditioning
yes.
that anyway.
So we cannot use the money to air condition the cafeteria, but we can use it to air condition the kitchen spaces where the kitchen staff works, under a guide of safety and
Well, thank you for that. The Buckeye trailers were demoed and are now gone. There is one remaining unit that Interstate Towing is going to be looking at that to see what the cost would be to move it to our maintenance property, the old Concord School. And the CTE update, project moving along. CCI, Cleveland Construction, is wrapping up interior of the cafeteria, the high school kitchen, commons, and bistro this week in the anticipation of the start of school. Riverview project moving forward. Cleveland Construction working on wrapping up interior work of the new stairwell and exterior door for the start of school. And that's all I have for buildings and grounds. Curriculum?
Okay, curriculum met today, this morning at 7:30, and Lori was also there. One of the things I wanted to report on was a new honors art proposal, and it would involve CCP credit, College Credit Plus, so the students...
Not this year.
Not this year.
No,
We're-
not this
We're
year. It's waiting
going
credit, yeah.
towards
We're
that.
moving towards
But
trying to
in the
offer
meantime, they
some
could get
It's an
additional
earned
credit.
honors, so it's an earned honors,
Yeah.
waiting.
Okay, all right. So, but are we collaborating with LEC, like your
We are,
college?
but
Yeah.
that is not in the works for this year.
Right, all right, but this helps retain some of our art students because, they have a lot of choices, but they're also looking, for that extra bump in credit. And so I think it's a great opportunity for them, and there was a lot shared about it and growing the program. So I think it'll be well received because we have a lot of art students. We also have opening day for staff, which is going to be on Monday. So all staff, whether it's teaching, classified, everybody that works for Riverside, will meet on Monday as a group. And then there will be different professional developments going on. Specifically for classified, Mallory will be conducting have someone conduct a customer service training. And so that's something that they're putting in new this year. And then there will be specific trainings on Tuesday because we have some new curriculum. And so, just continuing our training with Wit and Wisdom, Branching Minds, CBI training, different ones. This gives them an opportunity to have some training, some additional training before they start teaching. And all of the materials were available to staff and had prior training over the summer. All right, and then on Wednesday, there will be building meetings, so time for them to do required online trainings that they have to do, but also to work in their buildings. And then one thing that's coming up is the opportunity through our tech director. He recommended that we participate in Google Plus. Mr. Renwick said that this actually gives them more controls over, students using the platforms. And it also is going to provide, with the pricing model and everything, it would be a 3-year license at a reduced price. And it would also be beneficial with our personalized learning and things like that. There's limitations in the current platform that we have, so it sounded really good. And then there is some special ed staffing that still needs to take place. For the most part, it's been a tremendous job. You'll see a lot of approvals tonight. But I did see a posting by Mallory again today. There's still some areas that paraprofessionals that we need to hire. Still looking for a school psychologist and working through that. And then tonight, you'll see with the curriculum approvals, there will be the approvals of all the handbooks for this specific buildings, including preschool. And I think you're going to talk about the only real change for most of it is cell phone policy.
That's the only real change,
Yeah.
is our cell phone policy
Yeah.
is adopted to.
And you'll cover that.
I did not have it planned, but it's,
Okay.
we have sent it out to parents.
Yeah, it's
ad
been sent
nauseam.
out, and, you know, there are some exemptions, like if there's a medical or an ELL, English Language Learner Translation requirement, or some academic purpose, or for example, when art students are taking pictures of their projects, it's better on their phone than other ways. But, you know, during instructional time, the academic day, that there would be no cell phone use. And then our next meeting is going to be September 24th at 7:30 for curriculum and programs. And then I'm also on the strategic plan committee, and we're going to basically, you know, take a look at that. It's in its fourth year, we think. Usually, is it about every 5 years you start to review that, so we'll start those discussions. And also, our major focus is the implementation of Pathways to Excellence, and implementing that across the board. So, and you've reviewed that for our at our board meetings. So that's all I have for curriculum and program.
Thank you so much for that. And we have policy and alumni.
Dr. Tino just informed me that we just received a load of new policy from Neola, so we'll be setting up a policy meeting to go over that. First read will probably be on the next board meeting.
Yes.
Alumni Association, they met on Monday, the 12th. Unfortunately, I was not in town to attend, but the main topics that day were the Hall of Fame dinner and awards banquet that'll be coming up on October 11th. And they're also planning to attend the tailgate party on October 29th. You can find all that information on the alumni. Oh, August 29th.
Oh, I think it's October.
Oh, August 29th, sorry.
Okay, August.
Yeah, August. So any information you want about the Alumni Association, though, you can go out to their website and link and find out what they're working on.
Thank you for that. Booster.
Just two things. We have a RPTA meeting that is tentatively scheduled for sometime in September. That has not been firmed up yet. And then I sent out an email to the athletic boosters and other booster groups and asked for some information regarding perhaps getting a group together similar to our PTA. It would be helpful. Nobody has responded to that email yet, so hopefully we can maybe spearhead something like that. So it would be helpful.
We've had some conversations.
Yeah. That's all I have.
Thank you for that. And we have the superintendent's report.
Okay, a lot going on in the middle of August as we get ready for school. Riverview construction update, they are moving along there. I believe they are set to actually put steel up towards the beginning of school, so they're actually running an account for what day they're going to use the crane to crane steel up. I asked maybe not the first day of school, wait till the second day, but I think that we're looking next week to start actually putting structural steel up at Riverview. They are actually putting structural steel up at the beginning next week at the high school, so it will be right before students come at CTE. They're making progress every day. They will be turning over the cafeteria, commons, and wood shop storage to us, so we have access to that for the start of school. So they said Monday, maybe Tuesday. They're actually bringing cleaners in to clean it up for us as well. So we'll have that. We'll have accessibility to that as well. They're working out with what it looks like when we have students here, and student parking and parent parking and school buses and all that in the morning, and where they can park versus where our teachers park and staff park and all that. So we've been navigating through some of that with CCI, as well as we walk through the spaces today. And it's going to be really exciting about some of those things and kind of working as to what the future entails for this type of program. So really excited about that. Did hold a Riverside Leadership Retreat on August 5th. This is the third year we've done this. All of our district directors and administrators met. This year we did it at the AWT Center in Mentor. We have a lot of turnover, a lot of new administrators to the team, so we looked at behavior styles or leadership styles, and how different leadership styles work together, and how different emails might look with people under different leadership styles and what they need when they're asking you a question. So we did a lot of work with that, and then we did look at that climate survey, and kind of taking the result and putting in your leadership style and how it may have impacted those results and what you can do differently, perhaps, to kind of improve some of the results or what those results are really saying. So we did a lot of kind of some communications about that, kind of what this might mean and some things we can do. So it was a great day, really a lot of good that came out of it, and we are still kind of continuing to build on our leadership style. We are going to do a winter one this year for the first time, and in that one, the second part of behavior styles is you give the survey to people around you, and they judge your leadership style. So you give it to those above you, your subordinates. I partook in this and gave it to my wife. That one didn't come back so good. So I don't know if I'll give it to her this year as well, but she said I'm a little bit different than I am at home than I am at school. But it really kind of came back, and it's really informative as well as to how you see how you lead. So it was a great day for all of our leaders, and we've got a new picture to hang up of all of our district leaders as well. New teacher orientation was August 8th. Like I said, these weeks are really busy for us. We welcomed all new teachers and administrators to the district for an orientation, as well as the infamous bus tour that Mr. Carabine leads. Way more famous than the Rodeo Drive one with his dad jokes and all of that. Dr. Thompson did attend that this year, and he had nothing but 5 stars, 5-star Yelp review from him. So
You gave me a $10 tip.
Along the way. Orientations, open houses, and supply drop-offs. Now's the time. If you walked through the halls of Holly, you would have seen, or halls of Ivy, you would have seen the 8th grade orientation that goes on tonight. Started at 5:30. That's the afternoon. We did a morning session as well. So we had our 8th graders in getting their schedules, walking their schedules, and you typically hear the same thing from all of them as they're in the building. Wow, it's really big. And then the second one is, how do I go from this end of John R. to Spanish over at Riverside in 5 minutes? I'll put your walking feet on and start moving fast. Those are 2 things we hear every year. I heard it again today. It's kind of, you'll figure it out. It'll be fine. The nice thing about that is the construction wall was down so that we didn't have any 8th graders run into it as they were walking, trying to figure out where they were going. So they took it down just in time, so they missed it. Monday, August 18th, is the Lamouth 5th grade orientation open house. Lamouth does theirs on 3 nights. Because of just a parking issue with them. So they kind of have to spread out. So new 5th graders are on the Monday the 18th, new 6th and 7th graders, so students who are new to Lamouth are on the 19th. This will be a little smaller this year because it's just the new students, and a third of them have been there for a year, Buckeye and Melridge students. And then the 19th, they're returning 6th and 7th graders have just a supply drop-off and an open house at night. The 20th is the kindergarten orientation, where our Board of Education members will be at the different schools handing out T-shirts to the class of 2038 this year. Also on that Wednesday is the elementary supply drop-off and open house, and then on the 28th of August is Riverside, the campus open house. We're getting closer. It's really exciting today. Today, when you drove in, you noticed one of the things Mr. Hall did as an initiative that was proposed to him, and we brought it through Buildings and Grounds, was allow our seniors to paint parking spaces. They're so cool. They're pretty awesome out there. So they're out there putting some designs in those parking spaces. It looks really neat. And they were really happy and excited to do that. The only one who's really disappointed about it all is Dr. Malacher, because she can't paint hers yet. So this is her last year. We might let it happen, but she has to find a group to do it. So, but that's that. And the band. They're in the middle of band camp. We got to hear the band and kind of see them marching and preparing their show after 4 days. They were running through a whole song. It's amazing what they do and how they work with that group. And themed Spirit Day or something to that aspect, so they're in different funny hats and all that. But our band is amazing. I can't wait to see the final show, which is at Meet the Teams night. Before that, we'll talk about Kinder Camp a little bit. Kinder Camp is something we are starting this year. It's a new concept for our kindergartners. We are super excited to launch this, and thanks to the kindergarten team and all who are involved in this. The concept of kinder camp really is between the 25th and the 27th. We bring all our new kindergartners together, and we do whole group activities with them, and we learn their personalities and get to know them a little bit before we put them into class, into different homerooms. In every other situation, we know the students real well, we put them in homerooms ahead of time, but in kindergarten, it's just a blind draw. This kind of avoids some of that blind draw, we get to know them. And then on the 27th, where we'll reveal that celebration, so the kids will get a colored something, and they get to run or skip at Riverview to their classrooms to get there, so they get to join their classrooms and their peers. We're really excited about that. And then on the 28th and the 29th, we still do our half-day splits of our kindergarten classes so that they get used to kind of some of the procedures with that teacher, get to know that teacher, and then on September 2nd, all students report. So there's going to be some growing pains this year, we know that, but we're really excited about trying something new and trying to do it that's best for our kids to make sure that they learn as best as they possibly can. So we are really excited about that opportunity that we have this year.
Can I ask a question? So does that mean that when we do kindergarten orientations or whatever, then the teacher passes, they won't have homerooms assigned yet?
They will not, but they will still probably check out the classrooms.
Okay.
It will probably run very similar to how it has in the past.
Okay.
They'll probably talk a lot about kinder camp.
Yeah.
And then there will be a part where the kids still at least go into
A classroom.
a kindergarten classroom. I mean, most of them are pretty much the same.
I want to welcome our two new school resource officers to Riverside this year. Matthew Arco and Taylor Tekovic are working with us this year. Deputy Fitzgerald he's a deputy or a detective now, so he was promoted last year. And then Deputy Gurgic actually left the force and is joining the military again. So we have two new ones with our partnership. Thanks to our partnership with the Sheriff's Department to provide these. They are just great individuals. I'm excited about being on campus and getting to know the students and getting involved, as well as all of our SSOs. These are our two at the campus as well. And some upcoming community events. As we mentioned a little bit earlier, Meet the Teams Night is the 20th of August 20th. That's meet all of our fall sports teams, as well as our marching band will do their show for the first time for a public performance. And then the community tailgate party is August 29th. There is a new location for that. It is actually on the side practice field on the side of the school because of the construction in the back, so we moved it over to the field that we dubbed the band practice field. That's to the side of the board office. It will be over there. They're going to have food trucks this year instead of a grill and some other changes. So we're excited to continue that tradition, just so it's a little bit different as we're under construction. With that, as well, homecoming parade and community pep rally is Thursday, October 2nd. That's a great time to walk our local sports events. Our youth sports clubs join in and walk the parade, as well as our band marches and some of our other teams on there. And then that concludes my report. So exciting times as teachers return on Monday and students come back Thursday.
Thank you for that. Finance, audit, and personnel.
We held our meeting on August 7th. The personnel positions are being finalized for the new school year. The job fair was successful and candidates are going through the process for placements. Additional job postings are being added as necessary. Board agenda discussions included budget forecasting requirements, the upcoming state mandated cell phone restrictions during the school day, and AI use policies will be forthcoming later this year for implementation next school year. Flexibility has been given to superintendents and teacher assignments without regard for seniority. Career technical education will be required for students in 7th and 8th grades starting in the 26-27 school year. Donations will be accepted for new Lamuth cafeteria furniture, Riverside athletics, and high school construction program. Grant acceptance, the Ohio Department of Education has distributed several grants to the district in excess of $1.5 million. And that concludes my report.
Update from the treasurer.
Well, this is the exciting part, right? We get to move on from all this boring stuff to what you guys are really all here for. I'm certain to hear the financial update. But I do want to start by just saying how grateful and honored I am to join the district. This is my first board meeting, and I am committed to serving all the boards, serving the administration, and serving the community. and trying to do it in a very fiscally responsible and transparent way. So that is what I will certainly always keep at the forefront of what I'm doing. I'm trying to make the reports digestible so that they mean something to people. So I'm just going to start with just a couple of highlights, and I'll go fairly quickly, but hopefully not too quickly. So some of the general fund observations coming in new, the total reconciled cash balance, this is through the end of July 31st, is $39,956,000, and that is there is absolutely no variance between the bank and our book balances. So that's hats off to Gary and the staff for doing such a great job with the books. The general fund ended the month with a balance of $24 million. That's almost half of our total budget. That's a healthy cash position to be in at this point. If you take a look at 5-year forecasts around the state, you'll find that we're in a much healthier position than most. With that being said, we are in deficit spending, however, and that needs to be at the forefront of our decision making as we move forward. The 25 to 26, there's a variance there. The general revenue decreased by about $1.89 million. That's due to lower property tax collections. That doesn't mean your taxes were reduced. It means some people didn't pay their taxes very often. Some of it is just timing of when they come in. Also, expenditures increased by $621,000. That's to be expected. That's from higher personnel services and purchase services, which are just part of doing business. So revenue, year-to-date revenues are at $8.5 million, with property tax collections representing the largest sum. The majority of the funding for Riverside local schools comes from local property taxes, and that varies from community to community. Some are more state reliant, some are more community-based reliant, and in this particular community, it's primarily property taxes. Some of the other notable revenues included $638,000 from state foundation payments and then $109,000 from other resources. In terms of expenditures, the expenditures totaled almost $4.5 million. The largest expense being personnel services, $2.4 million, and employee benefits. Again, we don't produce a product, and about 83% of our budget is people. That we're a service industry, and so you'll see that pretty consistently across all school districts. Our investment funds continue to do well. We have about $37 million sitting in our various investment accounts. They're yielding on average about 4.21%. That's still really strong. Star Ohio represents about 67% of our portfolio. Red Tree has pretty much the remaining balance of those funds, and you can see where we primarily make those investments, and they're all very safe funds that are still yielding a pretty nice return. And then in terms of, there's always a lot of questions about permanent improvement funds. There are in the fund is $7.9 million, but 7.5, almost 7.6 of those dollars are encumbered, meaning we have about $319,000 unencumbered heading into this year. We will receive 2 additional settlement payments, and they'll be roughly about $2.2 million. We'll get that in August, approximately half of that dollar amount roughly, and then in March we'll get a final settlement to take us to $2.7 million, which is what our PI money generates. We invest that, and we usually capitalize on a few $100,000 historically from those investments. So that's where we kind of stand financially. I just wanted to go just very briefly over, you would think this isn't intuitive that this would be in the budget bill, but it is in the budget bill. Lots of things get put in the budget bill that have absolutely nothing to do with directly with funding of schools, but some of them actually, again, counterintuitive, they do potentially impact finances. So I tried to ferret out the ones that I thought could impact us either positively or negatively from a financial perspective. Cell phone policy, you all know cell phone policies. I think at this point the administration's done a really good job of making sure that we're communicating that effectively to parents. Basically what the cell phone policy in a nutshell says is that kids cannot use their cell phones at all during the school day. Now there are some exceptions, but that's what it's about. So will that impact finances? It could. It just depends on how far the district wants to go. Religious instruction release time is now required statutorily through the budget bill. So just to give you a little bit of an example of what that means is must allow at least one period per week for religious instruction, limit 2 periods per week for K-8, 2 high school credits per week. I'm assuming they mean credits. I assume they mean a class. That's my interpretation of that, although that could be wrong. And students may bring external materials. So they could bring a Bible or a Quran or whatever in with them in support of whatever their religious beliefs are. Advanced standing and math programs, and not just math programs, but CTE programs as well. So those programs now will, some of them, and very specifically, Dr. Malakar is going to be in charge of that along with the superintendent. It's not the treasurer's job, so I'm very glad to report that. But determining how we're going to weight those classes is going to be a challenge, but it is part of the law. And then if students score advanced on the state standardized tests, they have to be advanced at grade level. So that's going to be very interesting to see how that happens. What happens if you're a 4th grader, you advance, or you're a 3rd grader, you advance to 5th grade, do you go to Lamou?
We are waiting for some more clarification from the state. I think it's an imperfect bill. We understand what they want by it, but it looks different in different grades. So we are definitely looking for some cleanup on it, and I fully expect there to be some cleanup before this takes place.
It's very challenging, but it could impact staffing levels. It could impact transportation. So there's definitely dollars connected to, potentially connected to this. RESA, which is your resident educator program, that's been eliminated. That's probably one that should save dollars versus cost dollars. Although for those of you that aren't familiar with that, that's generally your new teacher support program is what it is. It's typically been pretty successful, but it's been eliminated statutorily. Adult and career technical education that's already been touched on by Mr. Keeney, moving that into the middle schools, which what exactly that means, I don't know how that's going to impact students and finances in a school day. It's unclear to me, but
we currently offer the program.
Well, then Riverside's ahead of the game. Good for Riverside. It's these innovative superintendent we have. That's what it is.
There when I got there.
Well, good. I'm glad to hear it. Financial reporting has changed a lot, and this is significantly impacting the finance department. So typically, a fiscal year ends on June 30th. We close the books out shortly thereafter. Then you do final appropriations to the board. Appropriations are your budget. They see that in October. And then in November, there's a 5-year forecast update. Well, that's all changed. So we will now have to do, not this year, it'll be October 15th, but after this year, on August 31st. We'll have to have a 5-year forecast done by August 31st. And then again in February 28th. It would normally have been in May, and now it's going to be in February. There is a provision that does not allow your administrative costs to exceed 15% of the district's operating budget. Riverside Local School District is at 7.4% right now. A repeal of school district income tax on estates effective 2026. If you have a school income tax, that obviously can have a financial implication. And stricter rules on property tax compliance and filing. So again, that has a dollar amount affixed to it. So one of the immediate changes our staff are going to have to adjust to is a very hard line on June 1st. We cannot process purchase orders past that. So they're really going to have to be thoughtful in planning about your summer expenditures, because we will not process a purchase order past June 1st because we have to close, do appropriations, and 5-year forecast all during the summer. We're going to spend some time making sure we're talking to the staff, training the staff, and getting them prepared for that reality. We won't just throw it on them. And then, not to get too specific about school finance, but there's this thing called inside millage. School districts do have boards, have legal control over some of, all of it, quite frankly, could be shifted to general fund. There are things that can be done. Inside millage is not impacted by House Bill 920. If you don't know what that is, we'll cover that at a later date. But now boards don't have sole authority on inside millage anymore. That has to go to the taxing authority and be approved before anything can be done with inside millage. Additionally, there's many changes that in the budget bill, and you could say, well, are they done? And the answer is, I don't know. Because legally they have 1 year where they can come back and still make changes, override governor vetoes. There's a lot of still indecision or uncertainty, I guess is a better word, for how we as a school district need to manage, and a school board manage and move forward when the playing field's still shifting.
And they might be making more changes in October.
That's what I heard.
I'm hearing that as well from, and some pretty significant ones potentially especially for school districts that are on the floor.
Yeah.
So, and we're close to the floor. So it doesn't necessarily impact us right now, but it significantly impacts us in the next few years, most likely, if that goes through.
So one question about the new teacher support program, since that's no longer being funded, are we doing anything, or what are we doing to try and close that gap a little bit?
So we started with our new teacher orientation, and we do that every year. The elimination of the recent program actually does take away some of the hoops that they have to jump through, especially a pretty significant test at the end, which when they take the reset exam, they actually don't go through the evaluation cycle. We will just keep them going through the evaluation cycle and give them support along the way. We are working on we assigning mentors, those sorts of things moving forward as well.
So it looks like we're giving them the benefits.
We're not throwing them in
and
the
some of the
classroom.
hardships are being taken away.
We wouldn't throw them in the classroom and say good luck.
Yeah.
We're going to make sure that they're supported along the way, because we need to keep, it's hard to hire teachers. There is a true shortage out there. We want to keep the good ones we have and continue to grow.
Thank you.
So we do support mentor teachers. Yeah, okay, good.
Thank you for that. Public comment. Anyone wishing to address the Board of Education will be recognized by the board president. Speakers are requested to speak from the podium, identify themselves and their topic. Comments are limited to 3 minutes.
Good evening, board members. My name is Jeanette Jones. I'm here tonight to follow up on the concerns I raised at the July 24th meeting and what followed afterward. At the meeting, I asked a direct question. What happens when you've drained the PI fund and if we need something in an emergency situation? What will be cut? Will it be busing, layoffs, pay to play? In response, the board president stated Not $1 is being spent from the general fund for permanent building needs. That statement might be technically true, but it missed the point. The reality is that the district has already borrowed from the general fund to cover a deficit in the PI fund. Whether or not that's labeled as spending, the effect of the general fund and on the service it supports is very real. I understand the PI fund is expected to be reimbursed the tax revenue, but given the rate of current spending, it's reasonable to ask what this kind of borrowing will happen again. My question was meant to raise the concern and encourage long-term fiscal responsibility, not to spread misinformation. What I found especially troubling was being named in a district-wide email after the meeting. While I understand that public comments are part of the record, singling me out in an official communication to me was unprofessional and unnecessary. I later sent an email to the board. Some of you responded, others didn't. I believe that says a lot with the silence of no response. So I'll close with three clear requests. Number one, follow the board's own policy of not responding to public comment during meetings. Number two, treat community members with professionalism and respect in all official communication. Number three, be transparent and accurate when discussing the district's financial decisions with the public. This is about more than money. It's about integrity, how we lead, how we speak to the public, and how we respond to fair, honest questions. Those things matter. And if we can't handle that with basic integrity, we shouldn't be making decisions for this community. Thank you.
Anyone else?
My name's Mike. I live in Grand River, 202 Murphy Avenue.
I'm sorry, what was your last name?
Gerson.
Thank you.
It's Gerson. Mr. Keeney, in response to your comments at the August 7th Finance and Personnel Committee meeting, it's very disturbing that someone with no experience in education would try to belittle and threaten our teachers. You have no business reviewing unedited documents and then trying to belittle people who are giving you responses to the questions that you're asking for. It's despicable. It does fit your MO, though. Your leader here outlined what his goals were for our schools in 2023. Get control of schools. That's what the Joshua PAC had in mind. And you've done that. Congratulations. You have one mind. The PAC was supposed to weed out unqualified candidates, which I suppose is why it doesn't exist anymore to support the two of you in your campaign. But even Mr. Fischel, he runs around getting quotes and estimates from random companies, and the two of you don't even ask to review it. You ask no questions. For instance, the Hack Excavating quote, estimate, whatever you want to call it, you didn't know that didn't actually come from Hack to Mr. Fischel. It came from Connor Fischel, from a company email for a company that Scott owns. What business does his son have getting a quote for work to be done for the school district? How does he benefit? You didn't ask those questions. You don't care. You just vote with him. The lack of interest in looking twice is especially present in Miss Brewster. She's doing court in March for an accident she caused running a red light at 40 miles an hour where she nearly killed people.
Oh.
Yeah, you. Wasn't it you, Scott, who told Mr. Massey in your interview with him, school board members should not be promoting or introducing behavior that could be potentially harmful to any Riverside student? School board members should be models of behavior for the students and staff. I completely agree, which is why I'm asking for Ms. Brewster to resign her position on the board. Not only is her lack of interest in reviewing facts and information a danger to our students' future in their education, but her activities in the community are a danger to their lives. She can't be trusted on the road. She shouldn't be trusted at this board table. I don't have to resort to threats, but like Mr. Keeney did. So I'll simply say that come November, you'll see what this one community thinks of your one-man show. The stakeholders will have their say at the polls. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. Consent agenda, finance and audit.
I'll make a motion to approve the items A through I listed on the finance audit consent agenda as recommended by the treasurer. Do I have a second?
A second.
Any discussion?
I would just like to thank the following organizations for their donations. AMSCO has, which is the Lamouth Parent Organization, has donated $15,000 towards the purchase of the cafeteria equipment. That is a substantial donation, and they should be thanked for that. Ohio High School Athletic Association has donated $1,250 to the athletic enrichment, or from the Athletic Enrichment Fund of OHSAA to the Riverside Athletics, and then $5,000 from Richard G. Small Foundation for the Riverside High School Construction Program consumables. So thank you to those organizations.
And I'd like to add that the $110,000 being paid for the Lamouth cafeteria furniture, not only AMSCO $15,000, but the food service fund is contributing to that to pay for the furniture.
Yeah, it's spent out from the food service
Yeah,
fund.
so, good things.
It'll be really nice for this fund.
Oh, yeah, of course.
It's branded and all, so it looks really neat. That's all.
Thank you for that.
Any further discussion?
Though I would like to note that the Richard G. Small Foundation is a organization of Cleveland Construction, and they gave us $3,500 last year and $5,000 this year. So
Right.
we're excited for their community involvement.
Right, and so generally speaking, the Smalls were the family
Yeah.
that owned Cleveland Construction.
Okay. Take the roll, please.
Mr. Fischel,
Aye.
Mr. Keeney,
Aye.
Ms. Brewster,
Aye.
Ms. Grassi,
Aye.
Ms. Krenensky.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Consent agenda, personnel.
I'll make a motion to approve items A through D listed on the personnel consent agenda as recommended by the superintendent. May I have a second?
I have a second it.
Any discussion? Hearing none, please take the roll.
Mr. Fischel,
Aye.
Mr. Keeney,
Aye.
Ms. Brewster,
Aye.
Ms. Grassi,
Aye.
Ms. Krenensky.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you for that. Consent agenda, curriculum and programming.
I make a motion to approve items A through F listed on the curriculum and programming consent agenda as recommended by the superintendent. Do I have a second?
I'll
Second.
Dennis Keeney, second.
Any discussion? All right, Dr. Thompson, could you please call the roll?
Mr. Fischel,
Aye.
Mr. Keeney,
Aye.
Ms. Brewster,
Aye.
Ms. Grassi,
Aye.
Ms. Krenensky.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Consent agenda, buildings and grounds. Make a motion to approve the items listed, item A, on the buildings and grounds operations consent agenda as recommended by the superintendent. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Brewster. Any discussion?
Yes, I have a question on the bus routes. We have no intention of cutting busing to St. Gabriel's, correct?
Correct. Their St. Gabe's is bust and they have routes.
I just want to make sure that people are aware of that. Apparently, there is some information being put out by St. Gabe's that parents should be on the look for school districts to be cutting their busing because Painesville City just eliminated transportation to St. Gabe's. And so I wanted to make sure that our community was aware that we have no plans to do that.
We cannot declare them impractical.
Correct. And I said that, but I just wanted to make sure that the public knows that, so
Absolutely.
have no fear. I didn't think that was very fair of St. Gabe's to put that and lump Riverside into a communication such as that, but
They
did,
haven't
so.
reached out at all, even asking us, to my knowledge.
Can you take the roll?
Mr. Fischel,
Aye.
Mr. Keeney,
Aye.
Ms. Brewster,
Aye.
Ms. Grassi,
Aye.
Ms. Krasinski.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
OSBA Annual Business Meeting. There's a resolution to approve, and I think we have to discuss.
This is when you get to pick who gets to vote
Who
at
the board-
OSBA
right.
on their new policy.
So-
We don't have them yet,
So who would like to do it?
or volunteer.
Attending.
Who's attending? I'm attending.
Are you attending?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Did one else? I did it last year. I don't mind doing it again. Unless someone else wants to do it.
No, that's fine with me.
Is it just Mr. Brewster who's attending?
No, I'm going to ask if I can attend too, if he can make those arrangements.
So,
So you want to be the alternate?
and
Yes, I can do that.
is everyone okay with that?
Sure.
Are those-
Okay, so I make a resolution to approve.
My only question, sorry, my only question is, are these the only folks that are going to attend? No, any other board members planning on attending? Okay, thank you.
Okay. Resolution to approve Ms. Brewster as delegate and Dennis Keeney as alternate to the 2025 OSBA Annual Business Meeting at the Capitol Conference on Monday, December 17th.
November. Monday, November 17th.
Monday.
Yeah.
Did I say something?
I think
You said December, yeah.
Monday, November 17th, 2025 at 2:30 PM. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Can you take the roll?
Mr. Fischel,
Aye.
Mr. Keeney,
Aye.
Ms. Brewster,
Aye.
Ms. Grassi,
Aye.
Ms. Krasinski.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Board of Education update. Anyone have update? Okay, next meeting announcement will be Finance and Personnel Committee meeting September 18th, 8 a.m. Board of Education meeting September 25th at 6 p.m.
And I would like to add September 24th at 7:30 for curriculum programs.
AM.
Yeah.
What time?
7:30.
7:30. Okay, curriculum.
And I'm assuming buildings and grounds on the 23rd?
Yes, it's usually 2 days before, so buildings and grounds on September 23rd at 7:30 a.m.
Excuse me for one second. Is there a way that we could move the finance committee meeting? I'm going to be out of town on the
Okay.
18th. I'll be in Monday, I'll be there Monday and Tuesday of that week if that works for anybody, but I won't be there Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, so, sorry.
Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday.
September 18th.
Do any, either of those days work?
15th or 16th?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be here the following week also. I mean, if you want to move it to the following Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, it doesn't matter, I just won't be here those 3 days.
7:30 or 8 on 15th or 16th works for me. Mr. Keeney, does it work for you?
Probably.
Okay. Do we want to tentatively Monday or Tuesday better?
Tuesday.
Tuesday? All right, so Tuesday the 16th.
Okay, so the
Eight.
curriculum, finance and
Instead of-
personnel
Instead of the 18th.
would be September
16th.
16th
8 a.m.
at 8 a.m.
Thank you.
Okay, good. And anything else?
Policy is TBD, but it will be coming.
Right, because you have
Yes.
a pile of them, right?
Yes, I've not yet processed them. And then I do believe Mr. Keeney asked for a separate buildings and grounds at one point too today. But we don't have a date for that. Do you want to?
We just kind of have to see when everybody can
Okay.
get together.
Okay.
So Dr. Thompson, Gary Placco is in charge of the calendars. So I don't know how you work that, but if we can update at least,
Well,
I don't know if you have to send out new meeting invites, I don't know what you.
I think he changes the date, or he did. I do not have that power, but I will try to.
Okay, whatever.
I know somebody who does.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay, all set? Move to adjourn at 8:09. Can I get a second?
Second.
Call the roll.
Mr. Fischel,
Aye.
Mr. Keeney,
Aye.
Ms. Brewster,
Aye.
Ms. Grassi,
Aye.
Ms. Krasinski.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Have a great evening,